All right, everybody, welcome back. We're going to be taking a look at Bitcoin per usual. I got a couple of altcoins after that as well. So feel free to stick around for those. Anybody on TikTok, this is on YouTube as well right now at cvo.crypto. You can rewind, pause, see the whole screen, stuff like that. Otherwise, feel free to stick around here on TikTok. I threw this falling wedge on here just because everybody's looking at that falling wedge. So I'm just correlating how it overlays with these with the levels we're looking at anyway. So going to kind of go over this with Bitcoin. So in yesterday's update, and for quite a while, right, we've had these doomsday levels that really, really don't. They've kind of come back into play, right? They're what's the term here? They've become relevant again, I guess I could say. So, we've been trading within this range. I do have the yearly key level up here, just kind of dictate and notate where we obviously turned around. I know that many were looking at this at the time as the 200 moving average. This was a key level that we were looking at for quite some time here, as well as Magic Internet Money. Him also, right? He pretty much pointed this out at the beginning of the year here. So this was our yearly key level that we were looking to reclaim for upside. We did not get that. Pretty big indicator that we were going to come back down. We left a bunch of levels right here between the point of control and into this range. We ended up coming back and re-entering this range, which at that point too, the probability of rotating the range in full becomes pretty high. We did just that, obviously. And right now we're grinding it out at the lows. So very similar to how we did over here and here, right? So it's just, it really is a time where it's just important to kind of pay attention and have your reactions planned out, right? So it's important to note, I guess, that many are looking down. However, there is more longs in the market, oddly enough, right? So if that makes sense. But anyways, looking at this falling wedge here, this is where everybody's kind of got their eye on. I have to imagine not many are looking at this range, right? So notating that we are kind of dancing around the range low. We've dropped out of it. Dropping back down to the bottom trend line of this falling wedge puts you at about 37K. From there, in this region right here, to see a short-term pump, would get probably everybody really passionately excited, right? Thinking that this falling wedge is breaking out, we're heading higher, when in reality, we're still pretty much just stuck within this range that we've been within. A few key levels to pay note to, just as we have been, is going to be this 2-year key level coming in about 39K. It's almost actually about 40. It's 39,800-ish, give or take. We do have 40,300 coming up here as our week, one of our weekly pivots. Granted, we did tap it there, but this is our recent high. So coming up and taking that out would be pretty interesting to see. Also, really want to pay attention if the price action does come back up towards this 40,300, because it is possible to see that breakout, right? Just pretend everybody's looking at this as that falling wedge. You're going to at least be targeting up in this, back to this region. But along the way here, this 40,300, I think, is pretty important to kind of pay attention to. Very possible to come up, possibly take these highs right here and then turn it around if we are going to continue lower. One of the biggest things too to kind of look for here, or that we've been looking for, which once again, we're taking it level by level, right? So if we do start reclaiming these levels to the upside, then obviously that's where we'll be trending. We do know the regions above. We've gone over those a million times at this point, right? Our next range above us, we rotate this range and actually resolve it to the upside. You're looking at 46K is pretty much the next range low. When you enter that, we do have this yearly key level. This is pretty much our line in the sand. It's really why I keep it as simple as this, these 5 levels here at the moment. I know there's 6 technically on here, but we'll get to this one in a second. But this is, pretty much to me, these are the most important as far as a medium to high time frame. Obviously, in the intradays, there's other things you can look for, but this would be, the key levels to pretty much reclaim to see upside. For the downside, just kind of throwing out an idea here, right? So a couple things is that this falling wedge is in play. We got the FOMC meeting tomorrow, which has got everyone's attention right now. I think it's pretty much an even split on where everybody thinks and feels and wants the market to go. In that regard, it's pretty much, it really is just, dependent on watching how the market reacts. So gonna have to see how everything goes down there. Adrian, how you doing? T-Bone over here on YouTube as well. Nice. One of a kind. What's up? The reason I have this weekly NPOC down here is that going back to the doomsday ideas, right? So say we start closing below this 37,700 a little bit more. We've already closed one daily below it, and then we kind of turned around, but we're really not reclaiming anything of note here. So this is kind of one of those times where yesterday somebody was asking, this is where you should open up a short, anything like that, and it's not necessarily that either, right? Like this is kind of you're kind of in the middle almost. The de-risking areas were obviously up here to start, taking your shorts, laddering those in. You could always try to go short here and run it down if we're going to get it right. You got a pretty decent area or a couple of areas where you put a stop loss. The issue is though right here is that just as we were looking at earlier though, we could very well come back up, right? Tag that even if it's 40,000. Take out come back up, reject again from the 2-year key level. Once again, everybody's going to be looking at this falling wedge, not at the range. And we saw this exact situation kind of come up back here, which we were still in this exact range. I bring this up quite often, right? So I'll kind of back it up. This is what the price action looked like at the time. Obviously, everyone is looking for this inverse head and shoulders to break out. Now this neckline, once again, overlaid over the range here, would have been valid if we did actually reclaim, or essentially break out, break the neckline, retest the neckline, whatever. You would have essentially been, breaking the range, coming back testing the range. You want to see that major close, 4-hour candles, daily candles, whatever. You would have broke out of the range regardless, and then you would have been heading up. And then this would have been one of those patterns that, overlays within the range, and it would have kind of, had confluence, so to speak. So what really happened was we ran it up, rejection at the range again with a lower high, very indicative that we were going to go lower. What are you going to do at that point once you reject from the range high, where you're going to rotate the whole range, right? So this probably caught a lot of people off guard. And that's kind of where I think we are right now to a degree, right? I think that a lot are going to front run this breakout of this falling wedge. And even if we do get it, right, it's just kind of important to pay attention to these levels. I think the levels are just simple, really, really simple. You reclaim this 2-year key level, right? You got your stop loss and validation right below. You reclaim your point of control, a stop loss right below. I mean, it's just as easy as that in a sense, depending on what your strategy is. If you're going to be actively trading these levels, or trying to protect your capital along the way, or if you're just a long-term investor, then I mean, hey, you're in it for the long haul anyways, right? This shouldn't really matter. You really just paying attention to the market to see where some key levels are to kind of add to your stack. Now, this weekly NPOC, gone over this quite a few times as well. When we had originally broke down from our 52K high back at Christmas Eve, right? And once again, credit to Magic Internet Money. That was his first night in the trading group with us, and basically walked us down this whole staircase right in the 33K on Christmas Eve, right? And then these are known as our doomsday levels. So I'll throw this whole box up here, right? So this is what we were looking at. I haven't changed them, right? They've been the same pretty much ever since December time. Looking to regain these levels for upside. As you can see, that once again is basically right here at the 2-year key level. So we do remain below that. We are technically right here struggling at the range low. We reclaim these levels. Obviously, things can start changing. So that's our go time, right? If we start seeing those things start to happen, those conditions met. Otherwise, we had these 2 volume targets down here that tend to get backfilled, and we came down and met one. We did not get the other one, which is the entire time up, as we've been kind of keeping in the back of our mind here. I do have this area down here marked as if we don't stop there, yada, yada. Don't get too wrapped up in that at the moment. Obviously, that's taking it step by step, but that would be the macro golden pocket of this entire move. You'd also see that would come in and take out the lows of last summer, which would effectively basically wash out the entire market, right? And you've heard that term, where all the leverage in the market, anybody that's long or anything like that is going to get stopped out. People coming in, start piling in shorts, thinking we're going to 20K. Market will probably turn around from there, things of that nature, right? Don't get too wrapped up in that idea quite yet. I'll even take it off the screen. But yeah, you can see here, obviously this is not an NPOC anymore because that had been met, but this one down here has not. So if the stars align here, that's going to be one of the areas of interest if we do get down there. Oh man, I just delete those. I did. This $32,000 area is also. I'm going to go ahead and just take that off and put this only on together. similar to how when we break out of this range eventually, right? When we rotate this range to the upside, um, we have that next range above us. We also have a range below us. So if we do re-enter that, right, the probability of rotating it is there, and I'll show you what that range is. And this is also kind of ties into that doomsday area from last year as well. And this box area right here is that range that is below us. So as you can see that we're pretty much bouncing off the top here, the range high as support at the moment is right at about 38K. So starting to close dailies within here. I would imagine we're going to at least come down to this point of control. That point of control is about 36,300. From there, if you lose that, you can see how this weekly NPOC is the actual range low as well. So there's a good amount of confluence down here. This would also, put in a lower low. It would essentially, for the short term, be jacking up with the market structure here, right? For everybody's uptrend idea. So that would definitely, cause everybody to get overly bearish, I do believe. And then this is just a big area to kind of pay attention to. And it's once again, if you get there, right? You're not punching back into this range quite yet. We could very well just start seeing this, break to the upside right now, reclaim some of these levels, and we continue on. So it's just a very important time to have your reactions prepared, right? All right. When's the Fed meeting? I'm not sure. I think it's tomorrow sometime. Crypto is dead, says somebody. So, I mean, we're getting to that point in the market, right, where everybody thinks that the market is dead, Bitcoin's dead, everything's done. So, something to keep in mind. Like I said, I almost hate to even bring up, any more lower levels at this point, just because everyone is looking lower. But the only thing I like about this 32K area is that nobody's really talking about that. And there is some reasoning here, right? Like I said, this is a historic range low. This is a volume target to the downside. So it would make sense to come to this level. Obviously, you start breaking that, you got to rearrange at that point, reevaluate. But it would be the perfect crime. I just love saying that, I guess. And the idea of thinking we run it back maybe to 40K, give or take. This falling wedge breaks. Everybody's gassed up thinking, we're going to run it, to all-time highs and things of that nature, which is possible. Once again, we start reclaiming some of these higher levels, and that's totally on the table. This is our line in the sand, in my opinion. That's going to be the key. We break above and hold above, meaning a daily candle close at least to start off above this 47,700. Then, very likely we're going to see 60K again and then some. Until then, that is, that's pretty much the green light in my opinion here. Otherwise, really looking to see how this, plays out. Once again, not many people are looking at range data, right? So you're looking at just the falling wedge here. If you do get a little breakout here, everybody would be probably FOMOing in pretty hard. And then, just really need to pay attention to how things get played up at this area here, right? So very possible to see something like that. You come right down. This would probably be a quick move, just like the others have been, right? And those quick moves scare everybody a lot because while during it, it just seems like it won't stop. It's not, very much similar to how we did over here, right? This was about a day and a half, wasn't it? I think just sheer red all the way to the downside, basically right into the lows. So just a thought there, right? So anyways, right now though, we are at some support. So, I mean, you can't necessarily be anticipating only short only, or only lower only. So it is possible to get some bounces along the way. And then we start reclaiming some of these levels and, then we're looking up. right, so we're going to take a look at ETH. What I was looking at there. So ETH has been, ETH is obviously the lead altcoin, and essentially what happens to ETH happens to the rest of the altcoins for the most part, and then generally Bitcoin and ETH trade within the same percentages for the most part. Obviously, there's some outliers here, and what I mean by that is when ETH fell. Let's see what ETH has come down about 25% from around the time Bitcoin was at 48K. Let's see what Bitcoin's come down. I don't even know if Bitcoin actually came down that much. Yeah, about the same. So the two of them essentially, kind of go back and forth around the same percentage, drawdowns and rallies. And so once again, just kind of going into this idea, and just to be perfectly clear, I'm pretty neutral right now, right? In the sense of, this, and I know it's everybody's worst response is that it really could go up or down at this point, right? It's a make or break area for sure. And unfortunately, like I said, the time frame to de-risk, and I know everybody's thinking, oh yeah, looking back, obviously everybody would have loved to just sell up here. But even if you didn't sell everything, right, this is an area where we this was our Gartley target for one, the Magic Internet Money had presented. This was our yearly key level, and then without even bringing up the 200 moving average, because that's not even something I was looking at personally, but we were just looking at for this to be reclaimed, right, for a closing basis, which we did not get. We definitely had levels down below us, and then once again, once you re-enter this range, it's very likely to cycle down. So, now that we're here, we got a possible 10-15% drop to go, but it's also probable that we could rally from here. So you're in a rock and a hard place here, because the most probable area to de-risk would have been along these lines, even when we broke back into the range high. So now, diddling in the middle, so to speak. Granted, we are at the range low, which would be more so of a support idea. At this point, you might just have to hold through and see how things go, because you really do run a risk of this dropping a little bit more or turning around from here. So if we do get that drawdown to 32K, I think that this would be, very similar to these situations, right? Very quickly bought up. These are 4-hour wicks. So it's not like we just come down and tag it for a second. It'll probably be some scary hours throughout, but very possibly just turn around from there. But yet to be seen at this point. What I was going to show the idea here too is that once again, if we were to see this level down here, that'd be a 16% drop. And looking at ETH, unlike many of the other altcoins, and even Bitcoin. So like a lot of altcoins kind of look like Bitcoin, where they re-entered their range. They pretty much rotated to the bottom, right? So ETH, however, has not. And ETH was, pretty high above its range high. This is for the first quarter of this year. So this is 3 months of price action stacked up here, which I guess I could start pulling from the next one here, since we're only 1 month in, so it doesn't matter. But we had the bearish divergence here, and we basically re-entered this range, right? Catch a rejection up here at the range high yearly key level. And so far, it appears that we're making our way back down towards at least the point of control. 2-year key level right now is kind of, regarding as resistance at the moment. So as far as upside, you really want to see that level flipped as support. And then realistically, we got to get out of this range, right, for some more upside. It's about what is that, $200 level, or almost 10% move to get that kind of that confirmation around that level. Otherwise, it's looking down towards this point of control, possibly even the range low. And once again, not being bearish or, really just neutral right now, right? Like we're kind of, and ETH is really literally diddling in the middle. So there's nothing, this is right in the middle of the range. Nothing extremely bearish or bullish about it at the moment, and could really go either way. So once again, that de-risk area would have been up here with the bearish divergences, with everything coming into major resistances. If you haven't made any changes until now, this is probably not the best time. And that's just, that just kind of is what it is, right? There's just times where you kind of have to sit through it. If we were to see the range low come in, that would be about a 15% drawdown from where we are, which is, basically equates. You'd see that out of Bitcoin too, is what I'm getting at, right? If we were to see that range low come in. So that would put Bitcoin around that 32K level. So if we did start coming down, that would be what I'd be looking for ETH. And the altcoins as a whole, obviously they're gonna take some hits, even more than they already are. So that's kind of, I guess that's more on the bearish send there, right? On the bullish side, though, I mean, you do have a lot of altcoins at just major support areas. Granted, some of them are starting to drop out of their, Q1 ranges. So that's why I'm really paying attention to ETH more than anything, to try to get a good gauge on how things are. And right now, major downtrend, right, still in play. If you go to the daily, and we would look at the daily EMAs for bullish and bearish crosses, which isn't the end all be all by any means. We had a nice little bullish cross come in right here, and generally that leads to a decent time frame of continuation, and it's pretty short lived. And we did get the daily bullish or bearish cross right here. Obviously, this is all the way back on April 22nd, so we've been a couple weeks so far. So yeah, very likely we still may have some more downside to go. Not too much looking up, which once again, I hate to be in that camp while everybody's kind of in that camp. I just don't think everybody has, I think everybody's overly bearish if you're being bearish right now. And in the sense of, like I said, for Bitcoin, if we go to 32K, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think that has a why as to why we would see it. I think that ETH, right, if you see that $2,300 level once again, it has a why to why we'd see it. But I think anybody else, not everyone as a whole, but there's the numbers that you're hearing and the fear that's really getting put on. It's like sub 30K and sub 20K and all these things. And I don't necessarily know if those make sense necessarily. And really is just best to take it level by level. But I could see us coming back to the range low. Like I said, right now we're just literally diddling in the middle. We are catching rejection right here at the 2-year key level. And, paying attention to the market, like it's not just guaranteed that we're going to see this. I mean, things can change. And when you start to see, these levels getting flipped and regarded as support, 4-hour candle closes, and especially dailies, things can start to change here. We did run it back up. Like I said, 2-year key level comes in right here. This was also our weekly pivot. Right, our weekly pivot came in right there as well. So so far that's kind of got us a little rejection. So far, flip those as support would be a good sign. Start looking up, and yeah, and then the altcoins obviously as a whole would follow. I want to take a look at ApeCoin real quick. I know a lot of people were kind of looking at this and thinking that TA wouldn't really work on it, and it does not have a ton of price action. I will say that, right? But if anybody was on the Leading Crypto Market Update, the public one, we do a public market update every Thursday night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern on my YouTube channel. And Magic Internet Money actually built out this chart. This is just a very simple pull up right here. But he built out that chart live with everybody that night and kind of showed that we were looking for a return towards the point of control or the range low, right? And just kind of pulling a simple fib even, which at the time I didn't love pulling from these. I mean, like there's really not a lot of information here. So this is this part right here would be a little bit more on the speculative side, but it did play out. So that's interesting to note, right? That 2.272, right, from that high to low is exactly where we topped out at. Then you get the pullback. Everybody knows I love the 272, right? You get that wick down, back in the range, right? So now you get back to the range. What are you going to do? More than likely, you're going to rotate the range to the range low. You got at least the point of control comes in as your major target. We had our golden pocket lined up also with the point of control right here from the entire move up. And then you got the range low coming in about 1387. So at the moment, that would be, maybe an area of interest for a short-term move. Otherwise, you lose that and we'll probably come back down towards these previous lows. But while we were moving up, this was all kind of drawn out and brought up live last Thursday. So definitely not a great move, right? Like entering in on these big, massive green candles. And I think this was like the only thing moving during these 2 days too, right? Where the rest of the market was kind of getting hit. So time and time again, always comes to this where those big green candles get a big move up, big move down. All right. For anybody that's just joining us, I am recording this on YouTube as well. So you can go to CVO Crypto and press pause, rewind, see my face if you like. Otherwise, it'll be there and you can watch it later on. For anybody that's interested in joining the Leading Crypto Discord server, we're Magic Internet Money and myself go over how to identify these ranges, point of control, key levels, things of that nature. All my altcoin setups, all of Magic's Bitcoin analysis, which is far more superior than mine. Our members only market updates, which we do every Wednesday and Sunday night, 9:30 p.m. They are recorded. They are performed live and interactive, and then they're recorded for anybody that can't make it and put in here. We do have an academy walking you step by step through all the tools and resources that we use every day so you can identify things for yourself or just understand what we're looking at when we pull up a chart here. And then otherwise you have a ton of members channels here where everybody can post in Bitcoin charts, a chat. We got order flow and open interest specialist Max over in Dubai. He kicks up basically at 10 o'clock at night and pretty much covers the overnight shift for any kind of movement and order flow and anything of that nature. So if you're interested, link is in my bio on TikTok, description on YouTube. If you're not, totally fine, and we'll keep it here. SHIB, T-Bone. What's going on, Mr. David Brumbelow? Yeah, gonna be interesting, I guess, to see how tomorrow does play out. SHIB. So this is the thing, right? I'm focusing a lot heavily right now on Bitcoin. Like I generally am an the altcoin person, right? But Bitcoin at times you really got to be prepared for how Bitcoin's going to react in the market, because if Bitcoin does take that move down to 32K or whatever, 34, 36, this is gonna cause some waves, obviously, in the altcoin market. We have a lot of altcoins that have come down towards their range low, right? On a macro time frame. This is not a macro time frame at all. This was just going over this kind of new coin as we kind of went through it. SHIB is a good example of this, right? So we got our range here. Same deal, right? Basically rotate it to the high, re-enter it, rotate back to the low, run it back to the high. I mean, back and forth till eventually this does break. So at the moment you're at support, and that's support until it's not. Obviously, you get these deviations, which is going to wick out anybody going on leverage, or it depends on how tight you're keeping even a spot trade. This is like a 10% wick right here, so this is not not fun to get caught up in. Obviously, 10%. But essentially, the idea is that you are at major support here. So this would be an area of interest to possibly, stack up. And you could put, stop losses below some of these lows. Once again, this is like a 10% wick to the downside, and even further back, depending on how you're looking at it. If you went below this low, I mean, that's a pretty big a wide stop loss. So you may not want to do that in that case, right? But that would be the idea here, and then we would range it back, for upside continuation. If you drop lower, you get stopped out, protect yourself from the downside. Otherwise, we have our quarterly key level right above. I'm not even going to be able to throw out these prices, but whatever amount of zeros, 214 right here. Point of control comes in at 24, right? Bunch of zeros, 24. That's that major target to the upside. You flip that one, and then we're basically looking up towards a range high. That would be the bullish case here, right? Assuming Bitcoin does not come down lower. So Bitcoin pulls back, then we're probably going to drop this down. And then we got other things to worry about, and one of which being for SHIB, very similar to a lot of the other altcoins. This is the next layer down, right? Or the next leg down. There's really nothing in between here. This was a huge move up, and right now this is going to be your support and resistance on the way down. So there's really nothing until you get back towards. I mean, this would be a pretty detrimental drop, right? So, not saying that would happen, but that's a really good reason to kind of have a stop loss or something prepared here, just in case, because that would not be a fun time. And let me see how Solana played out, or what was it, Matic, maybe VeChain. We've seen a couple other coins move up like this, and then once you get back to these levels, right, if you lose that support, this is not a good area to be messing around with. This Matic one, I'm trying to find a good example, because we had a couple others that had major moves like that, and then once you get caught up there. But regardless, that's just what I'd be looking for SHIB. But right now it is at support, right? So you can't necessarily just be anticipating lower. you know the deal, right? You don't short support type of deal. So, like I said, pretty neutral right now. A lot of things are really hinging on Bitcoin, and tomorrow, I'm sure that will be the day when our direction is decided. At least here in the short term, right? If we don't get anything today, we've pretty much just been ranging around for the last couple of days here. But yeah, Shiba range low. Like I said, we just went through all that. I would imagine that the yearly key level, that'd be a big one up here. If assuming the market continued higher, that would be where you're looking for a major target to come in. You've got ETH, APE, KNC was another one I wanted to look at just because that one's been talked about, asked about, whatever. So KNC, very simple chart here, right? Rallied unlike most others, and over like the last few months. So this wasn't like just in one swift move, but about 400% since the beginning of the year, since January. This is kind of similar to one of those moves like Zill. Granted, Zilliqa moved up within a week. Waves, also moved up fairly quickly. But for KNC, we were looking for these targets up here to be met. I really did anticipate we may have seen the 1618 before getting that major rejection, but it did come in right here at the 1414. So looking for possible pullback areas. I have got these levels marked off here. This is our April open right here, about I believe that's the April open. Yeah, so I haven't done May, but April monthly open comes in right here. In a short-term idea here, you've got, this thing always pops up in the way. We have come down for the local move here, basically coming into the golden pocket area. So you might get a little bounce right here, depending on how the rest of the market kind of looks for the short term. But unless we really come back up and take out this high, I would imagine it would just be a little short-lived deal. And I think that we're heading at least back down towards this level right here over time, which would be that monthly open, this golden pocket of the entire move up. You've also got a quarterly key level that's untapped. So this is for the first quarter of the year right here. So these two alone are pretty attractive to me to see those areas met. And then at times when we do get these, huge run-ups, a lot of times you will see the 786 come in as a major area too. So just something to pay attention to when we do get there, if you get there, right? So probably too late to enter a short. So if you're looking at kind of DCA, if you're just really in love with KNC or anything like that, I'd be looking for this area right here. The reason I say it's too late for a short, it just depends on how your leverage is, right? Obviously, if you're expecting lower, then it's not too late for a short. But if you're going to go 10x or anything like that, and we get a bounce, it's going to liquidate you or stop you out before the rest of the move comes in. So that's what I mean by too late for a short. It's a little risky, unless you're going to go like a 1x, right? Just something to capitalize on some move down. So we'll take a look at Algo and Crow real quick. I see Algo popping up, maybe Phantom. Solana while I'm right here. Anyways, Solana was one, made a few TikToks. Right? It's really tough also like to get a decent amount of information in like a 1 minute update. So, I do a lot of these live streams to kind of go over things a little bit more, and then when you do catch any of the TikTok videos, hopefully you understand where I'm going at a little easier than whatever, because a lot of times you can't go over every scenario, obviously, right, or like every invalidation or things like that. And then with all the other content we provide, I don't always put up an update for every single coin on TikTok videos. But for example, this is Solana, right? We were looking at it at the range low over here on March 15th. We're looking for that range high to come in. We broke it. We had our next major levels, one of which being the yearly key level up here. It's exactly where we topped out. Looking for a pullback back to the range high as that 20-30% overall when we were anticipating Bitcoin pulling back. Then we did exactly what Ethereum did, right? When a lot of coins did actually, is we broke back into the range. reject it off the high, and then essentially you're going to rotate it to the low. So right now we're living below the point of control on Solana, which is not the best place to be. As far as upside, a really simple confirmation in the short term here would be to reclaim this point of control. Would not be an area I'd want to be leverage trading necessarily, just because once again you're diddling in the middle, so to speak. So you can just pop right above and then lose it. As far as if you were looking for some confirmation of more upside, this is a level I'd look for to get flipped. Otherwise, it's quite possible we come down to the range low here in the next couple of days here, right? So that's your confirmation, right? You want to see this $90 flipped, held daily level, daily close. Otherwise, it's likely we may come down just to this 80. So it's about a $6 move from where we are now. So nothing crazy, right? What is that? Like 10%. Okay. Crow. No, not Crow. What did somebody want? Algo. Thoughts on the FOMC meeting. So this is the thing, right? So we've gone, and for anybody that's just joining, like I said, this is on YouTube, so you can rewind it and see the Bitcoin analysis in the beginning. I don't want to, go through it a ton of times. I might go through it one more time at the end here, but we've kind of got our areas mapped out on what to look for and what to expect, for the confirmation, for daily closes, for candle, whatever. Your upside and downside ideas, right? You got to have that in play. You got to be prepared for that, so to speak. You got to have your reactions planned. I would imagine that tomorrow, the timing of that meeting is probably going to align with the next move for Bitcoin, right? So it is really hard to say on which way it's going to go. I know that it's really just going to come down to that, the timing. So just be prepared, I guess, as much as you can. What? Oh, Algo. So Algo dropped out of the range yesterday, right? So this is kind of a crazy movement here. We really don't have another major area below us until this monthly down here about 50 cents. We got really close to about 53 cents here. And then right now we ran it up to the range low and we're kind of dumping out of it a little bit. So this is a really decent example of when you want to see that range reclaim. So as far as upside right now, if you were not an algo and you were looking for, you're looking for one of two things if you weren't in. Us come down to lower levels, right, to get a better DCA area or a better entry overall, or for upside to kind of get an idea of if we're going to continue to the upside. You want to see these daily candles come back into this range low, about 71 cents. So as you can see here today so far, this is today's candle. We've gotten a run up and we were sitting in there for a hot minute, but as you can see, it's wicked down below. So as this daily candle closes today, this could very well be a rejection at this level and come down. So that confirmation of continuation upside would be to come back in and start closing your dailies back in the range. But I'd be looking for this 50 cents, especially if things do not bode well tomorrow. Otherwise, get back in the range at 71 cents. Our point of control is our natural target at that point, 94. Got your range high. And then I know this looks pretty busy up here, but yearly key level pretty much comes in at about 165 after that. Somebody said Trias. We'll take a look at Trias. VXV is actually another one that is moving pretty good today, or had a move. I wouldn't say necessarily too good. All right, so Trias has just been dancing within the range as well, right? So you got come back in here from January, down a range low by March 13th, took over, reclaimed the point of control, ran it up to the range high, rejected, come back down. I would imagine we may see this range low once again, about 298. We got the point of control right here about 326 as well. And then as far as, upside, we really want to get out of this range, right? So you break this range to the upside here, the 627. That would be our mover to the upside here in the short term. Heading on back. VXV just because it's close. Fell out of the range, right? Pop back into it. This would be, let's see what the daily looks like. So this would be a slightly you could have took this risk, I guess. We kind of pushed back into it last night and closed just ever so slightly back in the range. Uh, Going down to the 4 hours, I'm sure we're looking good in here, right? So yeah, we closed back in. You had this one closed fully in. So this would be, pretty indicative that we're going to see at least this point of control at this point, about 227. And then you got your stop loss would be back below the range low or the previous low if you were, running a tight ship there, right, for any kind of lower downside. I will say that I think that this is the all-time lows for VXV, at least on this exchange for KuCoin, like 130. So kind of like a double bottom almost right at the all-time low. So interesting to note there. Looking for that point of control up here about 223. You got your range high at 281. Yearly open is a big one, comes in about 450. And then we've got some just major key levels up here. So like I said, still kind of, the market's really hinging on Bitcoin here. XCur. These are all like small cap, high risk coins, by the way. So this is not where you put your whole portfolio into. A lot of possible upside here on these, but this is the ones that you expose less capital to for the possible higher reward, right? So dumped out of the range over here. We had a point of control come in here that we kind of pit stopped at, lost the range low, and right now we're at the yearly S1 key level. So looking to hold this as support. Anything below that and probably wouldn't be that great for XCur. Near. So Near is a fan favorite, right, in the trading group here. Got a couple people that like just destroyed Near on this run up here, even just in this range throughout April. But we had we had the quarterly range here. Reclaimed the point of control from there, took out the range high. I know this, once again, this chart looks a little busy here. I'm zooming it in pretty much for TikTok to see a little bit. You had the all-time high comes in about $20. From there, we're looking at 24, 26, 28. Obviously, that doesn't really become relevant until $20 is broken above and held above. Otherwise, we ran it, had an April range developed right here, lost that. We re-entered the range right below us. So there's always another range, right? There's a range within, above you, below you, whatever. So you re-enter a range. What do? You rotate it down to at least the point of control. Essentially, you're targeting that range low right here. We are holding, however, above the point of control on Near. So losing that at 1107 area, I would imagine that we would come down to this 950, 960 area. Otherwise, right now, technically, we are holding that point of control. We got a weekly level right above us here, or pretty much right where we are. So for upside, I'd be looking for this quarterly key level. Monthly, you got your range high and the yearly open stacked up together. So this is a big one when you come back to it. But I would be on the lookout for this 950 as a possible area in the coming days here. 20%. So, I mean, I wouldn't imagine Near would just dump for no reason at this point anymore. So that would be really on the idea that the market as a whole starts pulling back a bit. G-Bone here. Yeah, man, everybody's trying to short Near throughout this range too, just to catch that actual short at the high. Kept jacking everybody up on that last one, but I think T-Bone got that one from the high. All right, T-Bone. What am I looking for here? Jasmine is chilling at the point of control. I'm really surprised that Jasmine didn't actually come down lower so far. This is where we originally were looking at it right here as we were coming into basically the all-time lows. point of control, right? We had a nice 30% run up to that, flipped that as support. And then we were looking for the range high, broke that, had a couple levels up here. We regained the range. And from there, we're looking to rotate it to the low, right? Your main target does come in as the point of control, which is where you are now. Could very well turn around from here. But if you do lose this point of control, I imagine we're going to come back down to the range low. So that would be a pretty big move. And once again, that would probably be on the premise that that the market as a whole is probably coming down a bit. But from here, I mean, this is a major support area. Pretty clear area to put a stop loss right below. And then from there, you're looking up towards this monthly key, back to the range high. These would be your next major targets in the short term. You reclaim those, and then we're looking up from there. Matic. So, yeah, Matt, this is where is this from? So Matic is another one, right, that did fall out of the current range that we were in. So once again, just kind of pointing out that you got the major resistance at the range high. These look really crowded. Let me hide some of this stuff. Okay. So you got your range high, your range low, right? Your range high is your major resistance. Your range low is your major support. Just like any other support and resistance levels, you can lose them. And this is where you want to consider your trades, whatever entries, however you want to put it. And then you'd want to put your stop loss below those levels, right? So you wait for those levels to be met, right? 2 out of 3 of these would have been nice moves to the upside. Obviously, this last one would have not been. You would have lost it on that one. Stop loss below the recent low or the range low in general, depending on how you were playing it, would have protected you from this little drawdown here, right? So what are we looking at now? Well, zooming this over here, what do we re-enter? Well, we re-entered this previous range over here. So basically you got your point of control, which we just took out, and possible to even rotate it down to the range low. This range low also lines up with the yearly S1, which is major average price. And I'm just painting an idea here, because realistically, until we get back above this point of control, which is about $1.12, so we're close to it. It's very possible we do. You run the risk of another 20-30% drawdown. And while that would totally not be fun, it is it's very, very possible, right? So that would once again, that's under the idea that Bitcoin drops 15% to that 32K. Generally the altcoins get hit with twice that. So, 15 to 30% would put us down in that region. And that's kind of where we are right now with Matic, right? Aside from that, for upside continuation, we really want to see this point of control. I know you can't see it on TikTok, but you want to see that point of control reclaimed about 112, 113, at least in the short term. And then from there, we'd want to reclaim this range here, and then we have our targets from there. But aside from that, that's kind of where we are with Matic, right? Dumped out of this range, and we were dead ass in the middle of last year's Q3. So that's just where we are, right? So yeah, not any crazy divergences or anything like that, but it is possible to turn around from here. And like I said, you want to see at least that 113 kind of flipped as a support at that point, short term, and then from there you're looking up to 132, reclaim that, and then we're looking back up. The reason I bring this up where it is the levels to be aware of at this point is like, yeah, if you're holding Matic right now, it's a hard time to decide, oh, should I sell for this 30% move? Probably not, right? And that's the hardest thing for anybody to ever get, is that the de-risking time has come and gone. And this is the biggest issue many people have and face, that while it is slower in the market, even for Bitcoin right now, right? Like the Bitcoin analysis we're looking at for the upside and the downside, kind of have to have an idea of what you would do if something, if this and then that kind of occurs. But once you get to those, like when Bitcoin drops it down, if it does, right, to like 34K, and then your idea is that it might go to 32. Well, you can't really just drop your bag at 34K expecting another $2,000 drop, because it might not hit that, right? Like that's where, if you're going to drop something, you got to do it earlier so that you can buy back in on the, ladder in on the lows as they're coming, because we don't know where it's going to turn around, right? Right now, you want to see this flip around, but if it doesn't, then yeah, we might head lower. We may not come all the way down to the range low, right? You might front run that. So I hope that makes sense, right? So it's one of those things where we really could go up or down at this point for Matic, a pretty drastic amount. So you are almost at risk either way, because if you were to sell out, and once again, you do whatever you want, right? I'm just putting out scenarios. If we were to re-enter this range, it's about a 22% move just to get back in the range. So say if you cut ties, expecting lower or waiting until this is reclaimed, you're going to be losing 20%, either way, right? Because if you're going to hold off till that range is reclaimed, that's about 20%. You possibly got 30% downfall. You're just really in a rock and a hard place. So take that for what it's worth. I mean, a lot of times it's at least better to be, if we wake up tomorrow and you see a 71 cent or a 77 cent Matic, most people will say, what's going on? If you're prepared for it, it's totally different, right? Even if your portfolio does take a hit, at least you're not going to be in a position of panic to where you feel the need to sell at these lows, because that's obviously always going to be, not the best move. So take it for what it's worth. And like I said, everything really just hinges on Bitcoin. So we really just have to see how things play out. Matic going to 40 cents, somebody says. Very well could. Very well could. All right. Once again, if anybody's interested in joining the Leading Crypto Discord server, myself and Magic Internet Money, the other trader and analyst in the group, he's also on TikTok, he's also on YouTube. So if you're not following him, do yourself a favor. Magic Internet Money is his name. In the Discord server, you do get access to all of my altcoin setups, all of Magic's Bitcoin analysis, which is far superior to mine. We do 2 members only market updates. The next one of which is going to be next tomorrow night, Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. We do one on Sunday as well. They are performed live, interactive. You can ask questions. We also record them for anybody that cannot make it. We got an academy, walking step by step how to utilize and use the tools and resources we use daily. And then we got a ton of other members channels here that you can participate in, posting Bitcoin charts, getting feedback. We got a chat. Obviously, we got order flow and open interest specialist Max over in Dubai, kind of spearheading that ordeal. So a lot of content there. If you're interested, TikTok bio or YouTube description if you're not interested, and you can hang out with me here. What's one looking like? Kind of like Matic. Yeah, pretty much dumped out of the this quarter's range and kind of sitting in the middle here. So I'm sure we could dress this up a little bit better. But if we do get another drawdown out of Bitcoin, I'd be looking for this yearly S1 right below, which would be like on par, right? Because if it sounds terrible to anticipate another 20% drop, but that's if Bitcoin starts heading down. I totally see this level being met. Otherwise, same thing. Like, we'd really want to see at least a reclaim of this quarterly key level, and then realistically getting back into this range at 11 cents. So it's one of those situations where you're kind of caught in the middle, right? Because that's a 40% move to the upside or a 23% move to the downside before you can get a better idea here. But that would be what I'd, for upside, I'd be looking for a reclaim of this range. Then we're looking up towards a quarterly. You got the point of control back up here about 20, and you got your range high about 28 cents. Cardano, we were looking for 72 cents. Got to 74. I'm going to blind you with some things here. Right there. Okay. Yeah, so the 72, I'm going to turn off the rest of the year, but I'll just put on the 3-month. So 72 cents is it's kind of still where I'm looking for unless we reclaim the range at this point, right? So similar to the rest of the market, right? We were coming into major resistance for Cardano as Bitcoin was not reclaiming that $47,700 yearly key level. So pretty indicative that we're going to see some lower. At the time, I was looking for at least point of control, this quarterly key level. Obviously, once you break that point of control, you run the risk of rotating the whole range. We did that over the course of about 2 weeks. Dropped out of the range. So where we go, right? We got one major level just below us here at 72 cents, and then losing that would not be a good sign, right? After that, we got just pretty much there's not too much holding us up at that point. So one of those things, once again, where it's not really much down like either. So yeah, it could be. It just depends on Bitcoin, really. But right now, it's one of those situations where I'd be looking for this 72 cent. If Bitcoin drops down to a little bit of a lower area, then obviously Cardano is probably going to take a little bit of a a lower swing. But for now, that's where I'd be looking for. As far as like a DCA idea would go. And as far as upside continuation to get a little confirmation, I'd be looking for this range to get reclaimed at 83 cents. So, once again, kind of a little bit in the middle. You got a 10% move or, wait for a 5% move to the upside, close it daily back in there, and then, kind of continue on from there. So it's just a little way to slightly protect yourself, right? This is that idea that the money's made in the middle type of deal. So on side note, though, for anybody long-term investors, we're talking a lot about trades here and there, but like this is something that's down 40%. And that's just from the last few weeks here. Probably down even more from the high. Granted, you can always go lower, yes, but as far as getting in on something, I mean, it depends on what your belief is in the project, whatever. But this is 76% down. So obviously better price entries than they were. Yeah, I did a good amount of altcoins for everybody. Did VXV, XCur, Triaz, did a SHIB, APE, KNC, and ETH. So if you're interested in seeing those, like I said, the video is recording right now on YouTube, so you can go there and rewind it. It'll be posted there afterwards as a live recording. And yeah, I think we're running out of time here, so. We'll be back on tomorrow for our FOMC update. See how the markets react to that one. So if you're not already following here on TikTok, please do. I do these live stream updates most of the time every Monday through Friday. The timing can be a little sporadic, but I do try to get one out pretty much every day throughout the week. And then, like I said, we do have the members only market updates where we go a lot more in detail for the update there. If anybody's interested in joining the Leading Crypto Discord server, the link is in my bio on TikTok, my information on YouTube. Here you'll get all the altcoin updates from me, Magic Internet Money, posts all his Bitcoin analysis, a ton of other content within that. And for anybody else, like I said, we'll see you here. Otherwise, we will be back later on, or I guess tomorrow. Hope you're all having a great day, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Till next time, everybody, CVO signing off. Cheers.